So, as you see, increasingly, mainstream Bollywood has a lot of what would have in an earlier time be considered independent really getting into the mainstream space. And I think there's been a number of films this year especially that have kind of back-to-back, like with NH10, there's Piku, there was this wonderful film called Dam Laga Ke Haisha. So I think, whereas earlier you would have seen a studio make a whole lot of mainstream masala films and then, okay, some token one or two independent films hoping to get some awards or be at a festival, whereas it's increasingly making money and moving into the mainstream. And I think these in-between spaces are much more interesting now. I'd like to talk of a film which I'm really delighted that one can see in Bombay and elsewhere because I live in Bombay and I find it very oppressive to be only mainly exposed to Bollywood films, and we don't really have enough spaces for the very, very rich regional cinemas, which of course have mainstream and independent. So this delightful Mani-Ratnam film that was released earlier this year, O Kadal Kanmani. What was it called in Bangalore? Was it still called that? Oh, OK Kanmani. Yeah, so a very special film because it's really a senior filmmaker really with an incredibly young energy that had a love story, again, between two people who actually don't want to get married and because they are too busy following their careers, who are not into making commitments. So I find these mainstream increasingly reflecting the nuances of real life. But it actually, it goes way beyond being a teenage love story, which is already in a terrific, terrific energy. It's really very funny and it's got wonderful energy and of course brilliant song picturization as always. But it kind of juxtaposes that with the landlord's family where the protagonists are living. And a story of Prakash Raj and Leela Sampson, wonderfully cast. And she's got Alzheimer's. And in a territory that in a Bollywood movie could very easily have slipped into being really melodramatic material, actually turns that into a love story and looks at what the spaces for love mean in different generations, again in a very understated way. And I think that, again, is really beautiful because it's not something, I think Bollywood would have treated that story very differently. So it's nice to see. And I think really, I was just having a conversation earlier this evening about how it's not as if Bollywood is acknowledging regional cinemas only in remakes, like making South Indian film remakes. But I think very much of the heart of Bollywood, the core of Bollywood is really contributions from a lot of talents from a lot of regional cinemas, which are stars, which are directors, which are cinematographers, editors, musicians. You've got Dibakar Banerjee, you've got a Priyadarshan, you've got Mani Ratnam making films in Hindi, making bilingual films, lots of talents from Marathi. So it's not just the remake part, but it's really a lot of talent at the very defining Bollywood. Whereas I think it's very misleading to see it as mainstream Hindi cinema. It's only the language in which it is expressed. But I think the talent really comes from regional spaces everywhere and talent everywhere. But let's take a look at OK Kanmani.